I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that? And the data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened?
A certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
Yeah, DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellow Hammer. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Charlie Kirk resolution that passed the U.S. House recently, even though a bunch of Democrats came out and voted against it. Now, you're going to note during this conversation that the politician that we are going to speak of, Terri Sewell's reasoning for voting against this is bad. And we'll get to that here in just a second. It's also incredibly ignorant, but we'll get to that as well. But let's back up for a second. A resolution passed the House honoring Melissa Hortman, a Democratic politician from Minnesota who was murdered by a lunatic. And yes, I understand that everyone wants to say that that was right-wing political violence, but there is no evidence for that. Even the individual who murdered her is saying it had nothing to do with politics. But they're saying it did, and they don't care about the facts. It's the same reason why they're saying that Charlie Kirk's murderer was a Republican. It's the same reason they're saying both of Trump's attempted assassins were Republicans. The facts do not matter here. The narrative is the only thing that matters here. So that passed unanimously. All Republicans got on board with it because it was the right thing to do. Now, for some reason, her name gets mentioned all the time in these conversations because they like to pretend that Republicans did not care about that, which is completely false. As I just told you, the resolution honoring her passed unanimously, and nobody was running around the internet talking about how her politics were bad and she deserved to die, or her politics were bad and I don't care that she died, or her politics were bad and I'm glad she died and I don't care that she died. But that is exactly what is happening now. You can pretend it's not. We all know the truth. We can have the discussion if you want, but there is zero reason to do so. What we do need to discuss is this response by Terri Sewell. It is terrible. It is awful. It is no good. She talks about why she voted against it, and this is just excuse making. But what she says here in part of this is Charlie Kirk called the passage of the Civil Rights Act a mistake and has repeatedly disparaged the accomplishments of African Americans and insulted our intelligence. He said, quote, blacks were actually better off in the 1940s. They committed less crimes. Now, I want you to look at that quote here for a second. Blacks were actually better off in the 1940s. They committed less crimes. Here is what he actually said and some context around it. It matters.
Okay, redlining.
Redlining
Yes.
is why so many blacks are killing each other?
No, let me finish my claim.
Okay.
And then you can respond. Is that okay? Okay, so redlining, federally mandated or sustained by the FHA, right? Separating Black Americans to specifically impoverished and relegated areas of the country. We are incapable of buying homes and putting equity into neighborhoods with lower crime rates and better educational systems. We do not have access to things that would uplift and help our community. When you are put in an environment that promotes and reinforces social and economic inequality, you become desperate and are forced to do things that
people.
maybe don't align with your values.
But what you're making an excuse for a lot of
Now,
murder,
when you
and
have
a lot of stealing,
a high
but
concentration
that-
of a subjugated people in
Hold on.
one area,
If you were right, when blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
so I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were
less
afraid. I mean, 4,000 Black men, women, and children were killed
so
in
if
violent lynch mobs.
If that's your explanation, but I just
Racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is
you don't
worse
think
than it has been
that
in the
affected
last 80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
No, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just trying to understand, why is it the more social welfare we've done, so we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, $20 trillion, and black Americans are poor. We've done everything that's been asked.
You haven't done everything that's been asked, though.
Great society,
because what is being
stamps,
asked,
subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that has been spent on the Great Society, and yet Black America is poorer, more murderous, more dangerous. So there's an explanation. I'm asking you to explain.
But we are not asking for handouts. We are asking for equity.
Hold on,
and
what
part
is
of
that? What
equity
does equity mean?
is
you mean taking from other people?
Excuse me, it means sharing, which is something that you guys seem to have a very hard time doing.
Sharing. So somebody has to explain why Black America, and you haven't, is 13% of the population and commits 58% of the murder.
Now, that conversation took place during something called Jubilee, where Charlie Kirk was debating 25 young Democrats. And yes, you saw the faces and the reactions and the oh my gods. But what Charlie Kirk said there was absolutely 100% true. The broader scope of that conversation was simple. There have been years and years and years and years and years of American society attempting and spending money and resources in order to try to lift the black community as a whole. And Charlie Kirk is saying, did it work? Well, the evidence indicates that it did not, and he laid out the reasons why he believes that. Now, you can think a lot of things about those numbers and stats, which are all 100% true, but you can't call them racist for quoting them. You just can't do it. And for Terri Sewell to use that as the reason and then to mangle the quote in the way she did, it goes to show you that she doesn't even believe it, because she can't give you the actual quote or the actual information. Even this is an attempt to defame Charlie Kirk. She could just say, I didn't vote for it because he was a right-wing Republican and I didn't like him. That's all she had to say. Instead, it's about these very specific quotes. But they're all misquotes. Every quote you see about Charlie Kirk removes all context. The video at the beginning of this that I played, you saw how they jump cut at everything. They just took everything, absolutely everything out of context. And Terri Sewell did the same thing and used it as a reason to cast a vote a certain way in Congress. That is embarrassing. Now, the other congressmen from Alabama, Shamari Figures, voted against it as well. Same exact thing. And there were all these people that voted against this. And I just want to point out that this was a resolution honoring a guy who was killed for voicing his opinion. And America is not going to forget this. I've talked to tons of people. They are very upset about this. A woman cried at my son's soccer game over this. I watched it. I see it in their faces. It is different than anything else. The Melissa Hortman situation is terrible, obviously. It's an attack on a person. It wasn't an attack on an idea. This was an attack on an idea, and it is different. And Terri Sewell couldn't bring herself to vote the right way, and neither could Shamari Figures. And they can't even give you a real reason. All of their reasons are based on misinterpretations, misquotes, and lies. And that tells you a little bit about their character, and we all need to remember who these people actually are. And I'm telling you this right now, we will remember.